welcome to the KVJ After the Show podcast.
Kevin's eyes look insane, but he's got new hair. Virginia is a witch, and she farts in her chair. Jason is a spaz who's got an old man's ass. Welcome to the After the Show podcast.
Alrighty, hello and welcome to the Friday KVJ After the Show podcast. How the heck is everybody?
Yeah, we doing good. How you doing over there?
Doing good. Excited for this weekend. It's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, Cajun Crawfish and Music Fest going to be going on. Very excited about that. Going to be at Abacoa in Jupiter, right off of I-95 there at Donald Ross Road.
I think it's going to be nice out.
It is. It's going to be perfect. No rain. Just beautiful. Maybe a little hot. So, you know, wear your flip-flops. Wear your sleeveless tops. Make it sexy, girls.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I got a question here from Jeremy. He said, I live in East Hollywood and I want to see Virginia and her crawfish. Can I take the Bright Line to West Palm Beach and then to the Crawfish Festival? You know what? I would probably suggest, and you can look into it, and I guess it depends upon the Bright Line, clean, fresh, nice. Very good. A little expensive, though, and I don't know what's going to be like on the weekend. Could be even more expensive, but to me, if you're right there in East Hollywood, Tri-Rail might not be a bad option. Caitlin's friend took it from Barry University in Miami last week to join us, and it wasn't bad. It took her like an hour to get from Miami there, and it would take you less time. And the thing about if you took Tri-Rail, one, you got that big-ass Tri-Rail station right there at Sterling and 95. That's good and easy to get to. And then you can go even further north because Mangonia Park is further than downtown West Palm Beach. And it'll actually get you closer so you'd have a shorter Uber ride.
Is Mangonia Park the closest thing to Abacoa?
It's closer than the Bright Line Station downtown West Palm.
Definitely, by quite a little bit.
Yeah.
You're really good at directions, Kev.
I know my way around,
You
Bird.
do.
Yeah.
That's very impressive.
Yeah, I know my way around here. So that would be my thought. But, hey, look, I know some people would be like, I'm too posh.
I like it. No, that's a good tip.
Got to be on that right line.
And then it's not going to be a very expensive Uber ride from Mangonia Park to Abacoa.
Right, it'll be better.
Maybe $20 max.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so not too bad. And another thing, too, I think the Florida Gators tip off at 6 p.m.
Yes. So in our VIP villas, we have several people that have purchased. It's like a VIP tent. It's got a table and 8 chairs, and you can have it as a private little party space for your friends and family. Mm-hmm. 2 of the villas are putting up TVs in their private party space.
Oh, that's awesome.
So they can watch the Gator game.
Okay, that's smart. That's good.
And then if it's on regular TV, my Panda can figure out a way to put it on the giant big screen that we have on the stage.
Whoa, no way.
And you can catch Gator game updates.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's good because I know Gator fans going to be into that because this counts. This is the Final Four, baby. This is big stuff.
And we right there, too, on the perimeter of Stadium Grill, they got about 8,000 TVs in there.
And I will tell you that DOS right next door.
Yep.
In fact, I might even enjoy that more for a sports experience.
DOS is great. Stadium Grill is great. Civil Society is great. Brick and Barrel is great. They have all...
Brick and Barrel is great.
Brick and Barrel is amazing. Dave and his crew over there make some delicious food.
Their food is amazing, yes, and they're great. My wife teaches his kid.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right. They were in here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, and it's a really good spot. So there's a lot of good restaurants up and down that stretch.
And also, too, I can give updates during the Snack Pack show. None of them will be accurate. I'll just go, oh, man, I just got an update. So the star player for the Gators broke his ankle?
His head fell off.
What the hell?
His head fell off.
See people.
It's horrific.
What the fuck, Jay Bird? Why'd you say that? I got money on that game.
If you have money on that game, first of all, you're not watching the Snack Pack, and you're also watching your phone.
And one thing that might affect your weekend as well is Trump is in town. I saw last night, I think he was flying into Miami to go to his place at Doral because they've got a Live Miami golf tournament with all those guys who bailed on PGA and went to the Saudi Golf League. And they're going to be having that. But Jaber was right. He called it. He's not going to be there all weekend. So I kind of wondered that because I don't know if I know he has a place like at his Bedminster Club, but I don't think he does in Doral. So he'll probably come back up. And traffic could be an issue. And that's why I tell you about that, because I try to get an idea of where the Trumpster might be, because I learned the hard way one time when I had to be someplace on a Saturday morning, and I'm like, why the fuck did they shut down the highway?
You're like, what is going on? Something is happening to make every single car stop.
I couldn't believe it. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Of course, the one time on a Saturday morning, I got to be so, because look, I'm always on 95 on weekend mornings, and it's so peaceful.
It is.
It's the only time it's peaceful. And I'm like, oh, I'll get there, no problem. I'm like, I got 10 minutes to spare.
Even around 11 a.m., it's still not that bad.
Yeah, unless you run into a shutdown I-95 because of a presidential motorcade. So that's why I kind of pay attention. That's why I kind of let you know. But Jillian said, FYI, Air Force One is parked at PBI currently. So, all right. Well, thank you for that update. So, yeah, he's already at the Mar-a-Lago.
We do love those updates. Thank you, guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I know if you're on Palm Beach and work there like my daughter does, and it becomes challenging. Our best to everybody in the middle of the country, like my son, Colin, who is there. You know, I guess if you live in that part of the world, you know this is a rough time, man. Spring with the tornadoes and everything. Ashley sent this. This is Spring Hill, Tennessee from yesterday. It's 34 miles outside of Nashville.
Damn, that looks wicked.
Yeah, they just, you know, it's just hit or miss. That's the horrifying thing of, you know, being in that part of it. Now, I lived in Kansas City, and they didn't get as many tornadoes, believe it or not, because as soon as you get into Missouri, you get a little bit more rolling hills, and Kansas is where you have the flatness. Oklahoma on down. In fact, when I was in Oklahoma City, they were telling me that Moore, Oklahoma, which is where Toby Keith is from, you drive through that if you're heading down to Dallas. And they said that is the #1 spot in the country for tornadoes. And my Uber driver showed me, he said, yeah, that massive theater there, he said one bowed down right through the middle of it.
Oh, my.
And he said that's rebuilt. He said, but you could see, it looked like someone drove a bulldozer right down the middle. It was a huge complex. That was one thing I noticed. It stood out to me. Maybe it's because we're so void of movie theaters here in South Florida. They have movie theaters all over the place in the Midwest. I'm like, well, it makes sense. It's winter, so what else are you going to do?
And they got nothing going on like us. Like, we have activities and fun and stuff every weekend outside.
They had a theater with like 200 theaters in it. It was just massive. It just went forever, but it's right down the middle of it.
So that place where there's all those tornadoes, I wonder how prevalent it is. Is it every day that a tornado breaks out? Is it once every 2 weeks?
You know, I think it's with us with hurricanes. It's just so hit or miss. That's the problem with nature, is it's just so unpredictable. And you never know. They probably go in areas for a long time. But I think it's just, you just never know. It was kind of like with us with that last hurricane, where I'm sitting there chilling. I'm feeling confident. I'm like, things not going to touch us, so I'm enjoying things. And all of a sudden they're like saying, we got some weird, like maybe, I don't know, tornado activity. And I started looking at social media. I'm like, what the hell is this? Like, we don't see these kind of tornadoes. I never see it. Well, F3, right?
F3 and 9 hours of tornadoes on the ground all over Palm Beach County. I could not stop the tense back for 9 hours that I had.
And there was a storm last year, and I don't think it was a tornado, but it was out of the blue, and it was really, really bad. That's the one that destroyed my dinosaur garden on the first round. It took down my fence. Mm-hmm. No one predicted that. That was just a storm that came out of nowhere and wreaked fucking havoc.
Right. So I really think that a lot of people that live in Tornado Alley, you just never know. It's just hit or miss. And look, I mean, it's a lot of spread out land. So yeah, tornadoes are not going to devastate a wide swath of that area, but it's just hit or miss. It's like if your number's called, there's nothing you can do. I don't see houses that, you know, just ping tornadoes off of it. That just doesn't happen. A tornado, when you get an F3, F4, F5, it is taking out whatever, including the ground. It just
my
digs the
sister,
ground out.
they're in Bowling Green, which is just an hour north of Nashville. And her house, fine. Her neighbor, catty corner across the street, house leveled.
Yeah, right.
Demolished.
Right. Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
It's so messed up.
Well, that's what's so different with the tornado versus us typically with a hurricane, which is a wider swath. You don't have that kind of stuff.
It's tough to watch those videos when you see the tornado approaching a house. You're going, oh, shit, please miss the house. And then it goes right over the house, destroys that. Can you even survive something like that? Or are you automatically just fucked?
Yeah, I think if you're you're in the house, and Panchita had said, yeah, those locations have underground shelters, and they do. And I just wonder, because to me, what would be the worst is the middle of the night. It's 2 a.m. and especially if you're a heavy sleeper. I'm just wondering if some of those nights, if it looks like you're going to have that, I would probably trick out a shelter and just be like, let's just sleep here because I may not wake up and make it down here in time.
Every night I'd be sleeping in the shelter.
Right. Yeah.
I had an elementary school teacher. I guess she was trying to make us feel better. She said that tornadoes can never happen at nighttime. So I would never fear a tornado ever happen at night.
Yeah.
Then I found the truth out.
That's a lie.
It was a straight up lie.
It would have been great if you would have had the wherewithal as a kid to be like, yeah, can you explain actually how that works with the physics of how darkness prevents?
No, I was happy. I'm like, oh, thank God, the tornado can't get me.
That'd be
at night.
amazing to hear a teacher try to dig her way out of that one.
Yeah, did she not know because she wasn't a very good teacher, or was she just trying to lie to make us feel better?
She knew. She was trying to make you feel better, and she was trying to do what she could to calm your little kid feelings.
You think that, but then I always think about the story Kevin tells when you heard your son during COVID, and a teacher was talking about some historical facts, and you're listening, you're going, that didn't fucking happen like that.
Yeah, it was. I was listening to it. Well, they're doing Roman history, and I was, listening to it. I'm like, this guy's just making shit up. Yeah, I was like, that didn't happen.
That should not be allowed. Like, you can't make shit up.
I agree.
Well, there's a lot of times, especially sometimes too, where, you're a teacher and you get those dumbass classes.
Yes.
And nobody here knows anything. So
Retaining nothing.
And you went out drinking the night before and you're hungover. You're like, I'll fake my way through Roman history. Yeah, so the Romans, they drove Teslas. And what? Another beverage for you to check out here for the weekend. Everett had tried a dill pickle sour beer made with sucker punch, a pickle brine beer. And, I played the pickle review from Popeyes that I got fooled with, but the person on there seemed to really enjoy the pickle lemonade that they had. And yeah, you know what? I love pickle. Pickle beer could actually work, depending upon how it's kind of blended in there.
I'll try it, but I'll try anything.
See, pickle can't be the star. I think it needs to be 85% pink lemonade and then 15% pickle juice.
With a splash.
Yes.
Yeah, it has an essence of it. Yeah, I agree with you on that, but that'd be interesting. Destihl Brewery, Destihl, from Normal, Illinois. Is where you can get that beer. And if your cat is looking to party, I believe this is from the Weed Witch, they now have a product called Meowijuana.
The cats in my neighborhood would love it. They'd start selling it.
Bruh, we got to get some of this for Rufus the talking cat.
Yeah.
And they call it Calico Kush.
Does it really?
Weed name.
Does it really make them high?
Well, there's what it looks like, and it looks a little bit like weed, right?
Well, I wonder, if they make products for people, for humans, for your joints and your all that kind of injury.
Yeah.
I wonder if they do have some kind of a cannabis thing for animals.
Yeah, well, I know the catnip or whatever, I think that makes them a little bonkers too. So maybe it's, got those essences. But yeah, you asked if it works. From this picture, I would say yes.
Look at that picture. Is that real?
That's the happiest cat. I've seen Jaybird with that face.
That's amazing. That needs to be on a shirt.
I mean, that right there is your ringing endorsement. Does Meowijuana work? Look at that cat face right there.
It's amazing.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Got this informative email here about marijuana and medical marijuana, and I guess something to know if you like your pew-pew. It asks the question, in Florida, if somebody gets a medical marijuana license, can you also purchase a firearm? And no, under federal law, anyone who uses marijuana, including medical marijuana, is prohibited from purchasing or possessing firearms. Even though Florida allows medical marijuana, federal law still classifies marijuana as a controlled substance. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff our government needs to get on. What are we doing with that?
I feel like we've covered that a few times, and every time we cover that, it's a different answer every single time. I still don't know what's real.
Yeah, I wonder, do you get differing answers if you go to some of these platforms? Because I'm trying to figure out with AI, because everybody's kind of selling their own thing for artificial intelligence, and which ones are the most effective, which ones are the best. And I've got a couple people that have kind of been selling me on, because now everybody's trying to do one. Twitter's got their own, like Grok or something like that.
Yes.
I guess they've got their own AI, and so everybody's trying to do their own. So if anybody's tried the different ones, I'm trying to talk to people, and I haven't seen a review of somebody testing them side by side, but that would be interesting. Does one of them dominate the others?
Yeah, because you're right. There are some shitty ones out there, and it gives out wrong information.
Yeah, right.
It doesn't edit well. And yeah.
Yeah, I use the ChatGPT for mine.
That's the one I have too.
So,
do you have a cool voice you talk to? Like how I do with Lily?
No, I don't do that kind of stuff. I used to talk to the
No,
Siri.
what he was trying to say was, no, that's stupid.
Yeah.
I'm not a fucking dork.
I'm not an idiot.
He was trying to be polite.
Yeah.
I'm not a lonely single guy looking for attention.
I'm trying to find less people to talk to me.
Kevin wants to be left alone.
Yes, I just need some quiet. Michael said, yeah, Kev, I have both, and I've had both for 3 years. Yeah, I use the ChatGPT. I only tried the Grok once, and I think maybe Microsoft or somebody else has one, but I think we're just going to be hit with so many of them.
He's right. It's gonna be like everything.
Yeah.
Just like sodas and just like restaurants, you're gonna have so many to pick from.
Yep. Yeah, who knows what the right answer is going to be. Rita said, I know there have been many discussions regarding tips on the show, so here's my question. As a frequent concert goer, I often purchase merch at the merch booth.
Merch.
The T-shirts usually range between $35 and up to $150.
Holy
depending on the band.
crap.
What
They
the
do.
hell?
I am not paying that for a T-shirt.
they're
Just
a
said
popu-
$150 for a hoodie.
If they're popular, if they're a band that's now and current, you're gonna pay.
Wow. When I go to pay at the merch booth, though, it asks if I want to leave a tip for the merch booth assistant who helped me get the shirt out of a box. Personally, I think it is ridiculous to tip them, but it seems to be a constant debate. So what are your thoughts? Do you tip the merch booth attendant or not?
How much have I had to drink?
How cute is she?
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I am not. I was torn by that for a while, and I've just tried to relieve my conscience of that. Just said, no, I'm not going to do that. So I do not now. And it's still awkward. I still hate it, but no.
It's called tip fatigue, and it's a real
Yeah.
thing. And people are just sick of when you turn that thing around. Oh, what do you want to tip me? And it starts at 18%.
Yeah.
18, 20, or 25. Like, wait, what?
No,
That's how it is with all the Ubers and your Uber Eats. They'll give you 3 options. None of them are fair.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, you've got to. The owners and the business owners have got to pay. Look to your boss. Like, they're the ones that are supposed to pay you.
I just think the days of cheap concerts and getting cheap merch, I think they're over. I don't see it ever going down.
I don't know. I'm not well versed enough to know what they could do, but it would be interesting if somehow they could step in and get your Ticketmasters and all the collusion that seems to be happening at Ticketmaster, Live Nation, all those places, if they could somehow break that apart. And look, the government does. I mean, they've broken in and broken up companies before. I remember when I was a kid, man. Remember the AT&T thing when they broke up the Baby Bells and all that?
Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah, they will come in and they will wreck a company based on that if they feel like, they're fixing prices and it's not in the consumer's interest. So it feels like, and I don't know how much Kid Rock and his jazzy outfit got Trump's attention and what Trump can do about it, but
It feels like they're taking advantage of American people.
And I love sitting in the lawn section until I got tickets in the seat section. I'm like, fuck the lawn. This is amazing. I can actually see their face.
You know who doesn't do well on the lawn? Bone on bone.
Yeah, no. When we went to the John Mayer, that was in the seats. That was kind of shitty in the back
It was
seats.
shit. It was radio seats, but it was good. It was nice to have a seat and not be in the grass.
We upgraded for the Corey Feldman. Way different. We should have actually done lawn for that one. We did Weezer in the seats too, and that was an awesome experience.
Yeah.
And you see that one box area where it's probably so much money, but people are waiting on you, and that is the way to do it. But that's almost going to a concert and getting so spoiled.
Yeah.
You gotta rough it
once
out.
you sit in those boxes, though, you're like, this is nice.
I mean,
Yeah.
it is.
I don't want to ever go back to the lawn.
Yeah, you do. Now I kind of have. There are some artists where I'm just kind of there passively more for the socialization and hanging out, and I'd be cool with being in the lawn for some of them. So I've got a grouping now where I've got the artists where it's like, nah, I gotta have a seat. I'm here for the artist, and the other ones where I'm just here for the friends and the experience.
Yeah, when we had our mullet bus and we saw Motley Crue and all those fucking bands, and I was in the back of the lawn,
Right, yeah.
I belonged back there, and I was fine with that.
Yeah. Boy, that was a wild night.
That was a wild night.
Well, there's a video of the pre.
Yeah.
It's us doing karaoke, and
Yeah.
it's at Swampgrass Willie's, and it's fucking insane.
Oh, I remember that.
Pre-game was insane.
Wasn't somebody on a dog leash?
I was on a dog leash on all four.
That's right, yeah.
And I had a spiked collar.
Yeah.
And I didn't know the words, so I'm just going around stage barking, and you guys are singing, nothing but a good time.
Wow.
How can I
And
resist?
I can see it in my face. I'm like, oh, he's gone.
He's
gone.
We lost him.
I was lost.
He's gone.
Some would say, though, it might have been one of your best performances.
I think you kept calling me the dog.
That's where at the end of the concert we told you to get on the bus. You're like, what bus?
What bus? We're like, the bus you took here? You're like, we have a bus? I'm like, oh, man.
That was.
We lost the dog.
Yeah, the dog. The dog fucking shit the bed.
Bad boy. Bad boy.
Your dog's name's Amber Heard.
It's a good sign for the music industry, though. They say in 2024, the average American spent $112 on recorded music. That is up from $102 in 2023. It's taken some time, but it sounds like they're finally figuring out how to monetize the music. Remember, this has been 20 years plus since the whole Napster thing, and they're like, oh my God, this is going to ruin it. If people aren't going to be buying CDs, albums, cassette tapes, all that stuff, music industry is cooked, and it's taken this long for them to figure out how to monetize it and make some cash.
Yeah, I think the money majority should always go to the artist. I get you have to pay to the label, the management, and all that, but a good amount of the money needs to go to the people that are making the music.
Amen.
In my opinion,
Yeah,
that's your
I agree.
art. That's what you did.
I agree.
Of course, you pay your fees and all that, but some of the stories that are out there where the man takes all of the money and the artist is left with their dick in their hand or their clit.
It's kind of hard to put your clit in your hand, but I get what you're saying.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, the record labels that have been around forever, I find them and think they're probably a lot less useful as they used to be, because now when it comes to the production of an album, you could do it all on your own with the kind of tools that are affordable that people could get. And the studio used to book out time and get the producers in and all that. And, I think to start off, you can do something a little bit on your own.
Well, especially if you're somebody's already made some money and you've already got some hits, they all build their own. I mean, they build their major studios either at their house or at their fifth house or whatever. But you're right, because it's cozier to be at your own domain and work on something like that.
Yeah, and then the other thing was paying for a video, but now with the video quality the way it is, a lot of groups are doing their own. There's that band, OK Go, and the band's just okay.
And they can go.
Yeah.
Maybe they knew it when they named themselves.
And they had a couple all right songs. They were okay, like the band. And they, one of the band members' sister was kind of choreographing their videos, and they were so they had one where they're all on synchronized treadmills.
Yeah,
I don't know if you remember.
that.
It was maybe 10 plus years ago when they were kind of doing that, and they got a lot of attention. And that's what the record label would do, is give you promotion and make your video. And I was like, okay, well, that's an example of a band that took the creativity, in their own hands, and they made videos that got the attention, which is what a video is supposed to do, is to sell the song.
Yes, because I hate when videos is just somebody singing and they're not doing anything and
Yeah.
there's nothing going on.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, you're right. That they were very creative with their videos.
And then the other part is just, the promotion. But look, with social media and some artists that are so good at it with all the platforms you have out there, you can promote your own music, kind of doing your own thing.
And you could just hire someone that would be good at your social media and pay them that and make your own music at your own studio. You'd save a lot of money.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think they make it to where you have to kind of get in bed with the record label. So they'll make you, they're still going to make you sign some of your soul away.
I think there are artists that are now emboldened to go it without labels. And, you know, bands like Death Cab for Cutie have not had a label and they've been doing their own thing. And look, that band, at least in the alternative world, is doing great.
Megan Thee Stallion. She's doing her own thing.
Is she really?
Yeah,
Good for
she's
her.
trying.
I love it. That's why I root for these artists to do that.
Me too.
I do. I always root for the artist.
Because unfortunately, the contracts when it comes to the record labels and the artists, it hasn't been good. It's so favored the labels, and it needs something where the labels need to feel threatened. And probably it's good to bring down that old dynasty and just have individual promoters that'll work for the artists themselves.
Amen.
I mean, I understand you got to pay everyone fairly that's helping you promote and do all that stuff, but I'm talking about the fat cats that are clearly getting way too much money for something off of an artist's back.
And that's typically how those contracts have gone through the history of the recording industry, is that they just own you. And so many of these artists put their creative soul, blood, sweat, and tears into projects, and then they own none of it.
Well, imagine being in a band or writing songs that, let's say you wrote 3 or 4 top 10 hits and you have nothing to show for it. It's going to drive you mad.
it's got to actually eat away at your mental health.
Yes.
To a point where you're like not healthy because
Yeah.
of it.
To me, it's like you birth a baby and then somebody takes your baby and then they create a family and you got to watch that family thrive and do great.
Totally.
And then you're left with nothing and you're homeless looking in their window.
And there are stories like that where people, they wrote this song and they talk about going mad because they're so pissed off, and then they're in the car and it comes on the radio.
It's crazy.
And they realize they're not making a penny off of that. Yeah. They say 50 million more Americans are paying for music now than a decade ago. So listen to how many more people are now, you know, they're used to it. They're acclimated. They realize, okay, I lease my music and here's how I do it. And so more and more people are jumping into it.
I love it. I think it was
Yeah.
you who showed me the whole Apple Music thing because you were
Yes.
into it.
Right.
And I didn't understand it at first. And then once I got it, I fucking love it.
And I was hesitant because I was spending $1.29 per song. But then I started realizing, I'm like, I download so much music that for $10 a month or whatever it was at the time when I got into it, I'm like, oh my gosh. I mean, because I probably was downloading about 100 songs a month.
You and I are two kinds of people that would benefit from a service like that because we download a lot of music, and I was spending a lot of. I remember looking at my iTunes, going, "Holy shit, that's like $700."
Right, yeah. So I'm
That's a lot.
I'm saving a ton of money doing this system, so I love it. And they say too, the live music expenditures have increased. Now let's look at these numbers. With per capita spending on live music reaching $281 in 2024, marking a 17% rise from 2023. Now, is that just because of the added ticket prices that we've been talking about? But they do say the percentage of people buying live music tickets also grew from 51 to 56% in 2024. So despite the prices, more people are buying concert tickets, and all I hear is the complaints. I mean, the latest was the Lady Gaga tickets went on sale here yesterday, and somebody I'd seen a story about what they were charging for Madison Square Garden. It was cheaper here in Miami. It was nice to see that she added a third show, so hopefully with that kind of availability, then it'll keep the prices lower. If you got 3 Lady Gaga shows to fill in an arena, that you'll
Lady
be able to-
Gaga.
Yeah, Lady Gaga all day long, so hopefully that'll work. And I did see, too, we played a little bit of the new Kesha. She just booked a date at the I Think Financial Amphitheater. I think it's in September.
You should go. You love Kesha, Virginia.
I would go if it's on a weekend.
How does she do in an amphitheater? Because I saw, who was it? There was some artist that had booked, gosh, they came out, they booked an arena, and they had to redo their bookings because it was too big.
Was it J-Lo?
No, I don't think
J-Lo
it was
had to
specifically. Yeah, she
bail.
had to bail entirely. It was just this last week that the artist had booked maybe a stadium or a bigger, and they had to downsize. And I was like, gosh, that has to be one of the hardest things to stomach if you're a musical artist, right?
It's totally soul crushing.
Where they're like, yeah, you thought you were arena level, you're not. But here's a small little theater for you.
Dang.
You know? I'd be like, gosh, okay. And then honestly, and then I wonder too, what about the bands when they get to, Yeah, I'm playing the casino tonight. Because I was thinking about that as we were driving through Oklahoma, actually, when I was there. They have all those kind of like, the
Fog
casinos.
hat.
Yeah, it was.
Play
They
the
had
casino.
Fog Hat. They had 38 Special.
Yes.
And like Def Leppard was going to go play the
These
one.
are big bands at
Once
one
upon-
point.
Yeah, but I'm like, is that kind of, you look at the ascendance of man, and we always have those. You have the paleo, this era and that era. I mean, as a band looks at it, they're going, yeah, I'm in my casino era.
I think you have to go in knowing. I mean, there's just
I'm in the arena era. Now I'm in the theater era.
It's so hard to stay at
Yeah,
arena level.
oh, it
Only a
is.
small
Yeah.
percentage of
Right.
artists can do that and
Elton
have done
John,
that.
yeah, Billy Joel.
It's a rare thing to do.
That's why they say, make sure you're nice to people as you climb that ladder of success, because you'll see those same people on your way down.
Well, you just know eventually you're gonna go back to the fair to play.
Of
You're
course.
gonna go back.
You
But-
are going to do the South Florida Fair. Fog Hat at the South Florida Fair would rock.
And I think the goal is just to always make sure you have a fan base. If you have a
right.
fan base, you always have a career. Now it may not be playing stadiums,
Right.
But you still can make you can have a good life.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I'm sure it's still better than doing a regular job, right?
Amen.
It really, I mean, come on.
Playing music, if you love music, that is a gift.
Yeah.
It gets depressing when you go do see a Fog Hat and nobody from Fog Hat is in the actual band, but the bass player.
Yeah, that's the problem now with all these bands, and that's why I am not a big fan of seeing those bands and seeing the cover bands. And there's so many of them that play, and they play to big crowds. The one thing, in fact, speaking of Abacoa, where you're going to be playing, the Queen and I were up there. I think it was for a spring training baseball game, but we were walking by the Abacoa Amphitheater, and there are all these chairs out there, like lawn chairs. The whole grass was full. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? And there were people, some of them were sitting in it. And so we went and talked to one, and they do, I think once a month, they do a cover artist.
Oh, yeah, the tribute shows.
And people come out at the crack of dawn and stake their place. And there were these two people that they were there at 6 a.m, and they're going to be here until the show at like 7 p.m. Like for 13 hours, they're just going to sit there in the lawn and wait for the show.
Well, I mean, there's a ton of great musicians out there that just because if a cover band's awesome and they're next level, they just didn't get that break. I mean, that's all it is a matter of a break with a lot of these bands.
Right. So those things are thriving right now. And I know, David Matthews over at Matthews Brewing, they do it like you go there any weekend, and he's got really talented musicians. And it does give you heart to know that, okay, one, I grew up in the hair band era. That music's still alive. And two, there are young kids like your School of Rock with Rocco to see that they can still thrash, kids that are in high school and whatever, what they can do on these instruments. It's so great to see.
It's
that still
very
going
big.
on.
It's very big. Cover bands are very big right now on the festival circuit. We just in Wellington, the Madonna tribute, Blonde Ambition, that was packed
Was it really?
on Saturday night. Yeah.
It does warm my heart to see kids up on stage, especially when they are nailing it. When you see young kids getting up there, and the drummers kicking ass, it's cool to see.
It really is. Yeah, it's very cool. Very cool. And congratulations to the Weed Witch, who gave us the catnip photo earlier. She said, my Feel Good Fridays being able to buy something just for fun for ourselves for the first time ever. And those things are badass. I don't even know what you call them. It's like a four-wheel. It's kind of like a rugged off-road golf cart kind of thing. It's a four-seater.
It's got a roll bar on it, too. That thing can
Yeah.
go upside down if it accidentally flips.
I've seen those things, for instance, going over dunes and stuff like that. I think I saw some video of somebody doing that in Dubai.
It's a tricked out dune buggy.
Yeah, it basically
Modernized.
is. Yeah, it basically is. I mean, now that question is where you're going to take that, but
I mean, everywhere. Is it street legal?
I don't know. I guess if maybe you got registered and got a license. I mean, they allow street legal golf carts. I don't
Yeah,
know
it looks safer than a golf cart.
I think it looks souped up.
That's badass.
Yeah, it is.
I hope they bring that out to Crawfish Fest.
I think the Weed Witches are coming out.
Nice. I love it.
Yeah, I don't even know. Like, I guess if you went out to the Acreage or Loxahatchee or something like that.
They got those golf carts and those things all over Abacoa. A lot of people roll up to these festivals with their golf carts at the Abacoa.
Yeah, but this is a different animal. Yeah, I mean that's the golf cart, but yeah, that's
for mudding.
Well, that's like what country boys love, that kind of shit. Yeah.
They'll ride that thing shirtless, and if it rolls over, shit, man, I got all these cuts.
Do they still do the mud jams? I haven't seen. Remember that we sent you out to that like 15 years ago. Is that still a thing? I have not heard anything about a mud jam in a while. I used to do it in Okeechobee.
That I went mudding that before we took the stage, and it was so fun. And something happened with the booking, and we were the very first band to go up, and the festival didn't really even start. I think we played for 3 people.
Yeah, no, I remember that because I was on my way to that, and I talked to them. They're like, "We already played." I'm like, "You already played? What the hell's going on?"
Yeah.
But
we got to do some mudding. That was cool.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I found out it was muddy. I'm like, I'm not going there.
It was out in Okeechobee. It was a long way out there. I think you did go out there, and then I think you saw that you had to cross over mud, and you're like, fuck this shit.
Oh, yeah, you had to drive through, like, a canal, basically, to get to the festival.
Yeah.
We realized no one was there yet, and you had to go over mud. You're like, I'll see you on Monday.
I think I was in my Lexus sedan.
Well, it's crazy. It's when people have those mud mobiles. They're the ones that are almost like a story tall. Have you ever seen those? That they're super jacked up. They have the massive tires on them, and they ride them. That's what they ride through those things.
They had a fuck ton of shit like that out there.
I mean, that's the ultimate redneck country boy kind of event. Yeah, Canadian Bacon said Swamp Fest, so I don't know if they still have it. Yeah, I'm kind of curious because I remember for a while they were like, that's kind of a badass little party.
I thought it was called Mudfest, and
I thought so too in Okeechobee, and they might have had 2. There might have been another one that was somewhere. So if anybody knows anything about that, you can always let us know. Mail at kvjshow.com.
It's funny. I like it out there in Okeechobee.
It's peaceful. It reminds me a lot of my hometown. Yeah, I like that. Good old country boys doing crazy shit and blowing off their fingers.
It's a fun change of pace.
It is. Yeah.
Like, switch it up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Go be country for the weekend.
That's right. Well, this weekend we're going to be Cajun.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, that's it, baby. The Bayou. We'll hopefully see you at Abacoa at the amphitheater, 6 p.m. Bayou Milk Killer takes the stage. Y'all have a great weekend. We'll see you back here on Monday. Goodbye.